Welcome to another episode of Wadilo na Vishesh Vichaar, brought to you by the Archive section of the Africa Federation. As we continue our special edition, we have a very special guest today who is known for his long-term service, Alhaj Aunali Khalfan. Alhaj Aunali Khalfan's journey has been very inspiring, has been marked by unwavering dedication and visionary foresight. He has served the community amongst various levels, and he has almost 6 decade long term of experience. Inshallah, we are going to learn more about it in our episode today. At the Africa Federation, he has served as the Honorary Secretary from 2010 to 2016, and then went on to become the Vice Chairman of the Africa Federation from 2016 to 2025, serving under 3 consecutive AFED chairmen. And his highlight has been the administrative and strategic reforms that he has made, his mentorship with the youth who have come up within the Federation during different times. And all this has been awarded and celebrated and honored by first Alhaj Shabir Bhai Najafi in 2022 when he awarded Alhaj Aunali Khalfan the Husseini Medal, and most recently in 2025 Alhaj Amin Bhai also has awarded him the Haidari Medal. We will learn more inshallah about his journey, and we look forward to having a very good conversation inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
First of all, thank you very much for accepting our invitation, and we inshallah look forward to learn a lot from you today. Not sure if we have enough time to discuss everything that you have, but as much as we can inshallah.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First and foremost, thank you for having me. It's my great honor and pleasure to be here today, especially to be interviewed by our archive section, which has been so close to my heart. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate for having me.
Thank you, Aunali. So I think to make this conversation a little bit productive, we go stepwise. Let's start with your beginnings, your roots in Zanzibar. But before that, can you tell us briefly about your family background, where you come from?
Okay. We are known as Khalfan family. Has been first my great grandfather landed in Lamu. Sadly, he passed away when he was disembarking from the dhow, and he is buried in Lamu. And then his son Muhammad made a journey from Gujarat to Zanzibar.
Okay.
That was the beginning of our family establishment in Zanzibar, and it goes back to 1835. I will just explain to you a little bit about my great-grandfather.
Sure.
He was an industrialist, and they established soap industry in Zanzibar, and later on they moved to Mombasa and so forth. But my grandfather, Abdul Rasul Ali Muhammad Khalfan, he was also very much attached to the community. He was the president of the Hujjat Jamaat
In Zanzibar.
in Zanzibar, and he died while he was holding the position as president of the Jamaat. And this happened when he was 57 years old. He died at, I would say,
Relatively young.
yeah. So on that particular day, what happened in Zanzibar was a historical event. The two Jamaats, the Hujjat and Quwat, they both shut down their businesses for the funeral. And thereafter, His brother Abdullah Ali Muhammad Khalfan took over the chairmanship or president of Hujjat Jamaat and then continued. So that's a little bit of a background of my grandfather. So this runs in the family, a community service. My father, Kasmali Abdul Rasul Khalfan, was a simple person. He was also part of the family business in Zanzibar. And until the revolution in Zanzibar in 1964, we had a thriving business in Zanzibar of soap and copra oil. After the revolution in Zanzibar in 1964, things changed very much, and thereafter I would like to touch a little bit about my experience
Sure.
during 1964. What happened is just about 2 days before the revolution, which occurred on the night of 11th January 1964, Alhaj Ibrahim Sharif Beg, who was the chairman of Africa Federation, was in Zanzibar. He passed away on the 9th of January, and he was buried the following day. And I participated in the funeral of Marhum Ibrahim Sharif Beg. The revolution in Zanzibar was actually, I would say, a very sad event and very scary as well. Where we were living in Zanzibar, which is very close to Darajani area, where there was this headquarters of the Zanzibar People's Party, okay, who won the elections. Okay, so the attack was focused on this building, and we could see the gun fire. In Zanzibar, this was very uncommon. I mean, we never thought that such thing can happen in Zanzibar.
Such violence.
Yeah, and it happened. It started at night, and early morning we could see gunshots firing and so forth. So I went up on our building, which was very high in Kokoni. I could see actually these, you can call them fighters. And they were actually attacking the building. They then went on looting the shops and so forth. So people were running around. It was quite scary. And the next to where we lived in Zanzibar was the Malindi police station. Now, Malindi police station is where actually the government force was there. Okay. At that time, they didn't have military; they only have police force. Okay, and they were firing. We could see the machine guns fire. They were protecting the bridge crossing, which now is a different name, but it used to be Hollis Road. Yeah. So as it continued, and we were worried that these fighters, these people can come and attack us as well. So what happened is my uncle Muhammad Khalfan was then staying with us in Zanzibar at Kokoni, because he was posted in Zanzibar at that time. And we had a big house. So myself, my brother, Abdul Rasul Khalfan, and my sister Khatija, we moved to Malindi area to my mama's house. It was a small house, but it was much safer than where we were. So this event continued, and some of our community members were taken to Rahaleo. Some of them were actually in Shamba, Chuaka, and Oroa because it was weekend. They did not know what was happening. They were all taken to Rahaleo. And the families were then worried what happened to these people. So that was a revolution which actually still I remember, and I really feel that our community were all safe. You see, none of our community member actually died. There were few Asians who were shot, but the main attack was on the Arabs, yeah, and many of them died. You see, especially in the villages and shambas. You see, after a few days, it all calmed down, and then we came back to our home, and then after the revolution, it was all trauma because then after the looting, people had no businesses. All what they had saved during their lifetime was all looted. And also there was shortage of food as well. And during that time, we were not keeping stock at home. It was like buying daily ration, going to the market, you buy and come, and my mother would cook, so we eat. So it was like that. That was the lifestyle in Zanzibar. But again, so we had to go out, and there was curfew. So during very short period, you would go out, look for something, come back, and stay at home. So this was the event of the revolution in Zanzibar.
Approximately how old were you when you were experiencing?
Yeah, I was then 14. I was born 1950 and 64. That's 14 years.
14 years. Interesting. And I think the revolution prompted a lot of migration. Is it true our community members, as a result of that, migrated towards the mainland?
Yeah, actually that prompted migration. It happened a little bit later part. I mean, it didn't happen the same time, but it took some time. And then because the conditions were so getting worse than what it was, people were facing, harassment. Most of the Asians lost their jobs, because during the British era, you find that a lot of Asians and our own brothers were holding high position in the government offices. So they were all, I would say, removed, replaced by the local people, and then they had no jobs. So eventually they had to leave Zanzibar. So the migration started a little bit, I would say about maybe 6 months after the revolution. You see, our Jamaat in Zanzibar was the biggest Jamaat in East Africa. Zanzibar had about 3,000 members.
This is both?
No, this is only Kuwait. Kuwait was the biggest Jamaat. Hujat had about 1,000 members. So I would say a total of about 4,000 people, Zanzibar, and that was the biggest Jamaat. And then people started moving out. Some came to mainland, and some went even beyond mainland, and went overseas who had the ability to go, because they had to leave everything behind. The houses were nationalized, the businesses were nationalized. They lost a lot of, I would say, finance, and the looting that took place. It actually affected most of our community members and most of the Asian community, as well as Arabs. So that was the sad part of, and the experience that I saw myself personally. It was not a good thing, but it happened.
Definitely not a pleasant experience.
It was not a pleasant experience.
Aunali uncle, if you don't mind, you mentioned your siblings. So
Yeah.
apart from this experience of revolution, do you have any other memories that you really...
Yeah. You see, myself, I schooled in Zanzibar. I did my primary and secondary school in Zanzibar. So my brother, Shul Khalfan, he was the first person to migrate to Dar es Salaam at that time. It was still Tanganyika. And he found a job at National and Greenwich Bank. He was staying as paying guest in Dar es Salaam with Marhum Bakar Salibalu. Later on, he found a flat, and at that time the rent was so little, but even the income was that little as well. You see, so then he moved, and then my parents, my father and my mother, they moved to Dar es Salaam. I remained behind. And we had a small shop at Nambu. So I was doing business, small. It was a small business basically. And then I also decided that it was time to pack and move over. You see, but while in Zanzibar, I was actively involved in volunteering services. You see, I started at Hussein Itaze Khana in 1965. And from 1965 up to end of 1968, I was actually helping as a volunteer. And most of the senior volunteers who were then there had left. And some of our elders of the community were there, but some had also migrated to mainland and other places like Kenya. Some even went to UK and so forth. So I was helping the Kuwait Islam Jamaat, much as I was a member of Hujat. My parents were members of Hujat. But my connection was more with Kuwait. So I had my friends, school, my childhood friends, most of my school colleagues, they were from Kuwait. So I had a lot of attachment, and I helped in Julus, I helped in preparing the Tazia and the Alam, and Zanzibar was well known, and it is still well known for all this, Julus and Tazia Khan and so forth. So then I helped in organization. We had functions like Hussein Day there. We had functions like Kushali and the famous Kushali we used to call Kushali Bankro.
Okay.
At Kifonda. You see, it continued for some time, and then it stopped because most of the people had left. So there was, I would say from about 3,000 community members that we had total, about 300 to 400 remaining at that time, and now even less. So then I decided that I should now move on. My brother was calling me here, and then I came to Dar es Salaam.
Aunali uncle, just for the interest of the viewers, Kushalia Bankro, if you can just give us little details for especially for the young people.
You see, Kushali Bankro was this Kushali of the third Shaban, the fourth Shaban. You know, the Imam Hussein, the Abbas, Imam Hussein Rabin. This was a famous Kushali organization by Kuwatul Islam Jamaat. So where we have a mosque at the moment, Kiponda, that narrow, it's not quite wide, but they put Bankra. So that's why they call it Kushalia Bankro. Bankro in Kiswahili, Bankra in Gujarati. So ત્યારે વધારે ખુરશીઓ ના હતા, બાંકરા રાખતા હતા. And then people like Golo Saleh and Mahmoud Chandu and Raza Karimbox and Mamsen Kokoni. These were the senior volunteers. Murtaza Chandu, Muhammad Biremi, they were all there. They were very senior to me. So what happened is we were very young then. We were given brooms to sweep the streets, to clean up, and then they would set the bankers, they would put lights, series lights, everything. They put a stage, and then this kushali would take place at night. And the famous Quran reciter, Mali Murtaza Bandali, would recite the Holy Quran. Prior to that, his father used to recite, and then Murtaza Bandali took over, and then all the kushalis, kasidas, will take place. And then, the most important part at the end would be you get a cake, and this is the famous cake with icing and ice cream. That used to be the Fatiha after the kushali. So we were all waiting, okay, ras thai to apre cake mole. So that was kushali Bako. And it was happening once a year. Again, I'm sure there would be some photographs in the archive, but I couldn't lay my hands on it.
I think it is interesting to get these memories, and sometimes when you hear about these, you wish that you are also there to experience.
And madrasa boys would come there. Zanzibar used to call school face, would come and recite qasidas like what we are doing here actually.
Okay.
It was happening there as well. And it was during night time. Okay.
So thank you, Aunali uncle. I think before we delve more into your community service, I mean, you have started telling us that you started out as a volunteer. Before we go more into details, if we can just briefly talk about your professional career first. So once you finish your studies, you mentioned that you were running a shop and running a small business. Then what happened next when you came to Dar es Salaam?
Yeah, okay. So when I came to Dar es Salaam, the first job that I had was with sanitary appliances and hardware, Mr. Gangji. So when we came here, we had very nice, wonderful people. And my uncle introduced you to Mr. Haji, who was I think he was working for the newspaper. It was, I can't remember the name, but yeah. And he took me to Mr. Ganji and said, "Achoko hamna Zanzibar થી આવ્યો છે, એને તમે કામ બેસાડો." હવે ત્યારે હું જ્યારે અહીંયા આવ્યો તો ત્યારે ઓળખાણ બહુ ન હતું. First time I see Dar es Salaam. We were coming for sports visit at that time, but like moving to Dar es Salaam and looking for a job was my first experience. So he was so nice. He said, "Bale, ave, kaleti sharu kare." This was the spirit of our community at that time, to help people who came from Zanzibar, give them some job so that they can start their life. And I really appreciate it. I worked for about 5 to 6 months as a stockkeeper. There were card system, everything was manual. There were no computers at that time. So I then went to him. I said, "I have been called for an interview at Shell and BP, and I would like to go for this interview." He said, "Please proceed. Namne ત્યાં કામ મળે તો સારું. આ international company છે." So I went for interview, and my brother actually helped me. He had a good connection at that time because he was working for National Wellness Bank, and Shell and BP had that account in that bank. So there was kind of a connection as well. So I was called for interview, and we were few of us, and I got through. So my first job, and I brought that letter, and I would like to show to you.
Yes.
You will be You'd be amazed. My first job was, the interview was in October 1969. I got a letter of appointment 21st October
1969.
1969.
Okay.
And then my first salary was 585 shillings. Can you imagine?
Which was a big deal at that time.
Well, here, 585 shillings per month salary. Now today, if you have 10,000 in your pocket, it's nothing. And this was my monthly salary. That's where I started.
Interesting. And you said 1969, so you were 19 years old?
Yes, I was then 19 years old. That's where I started. And so I started this job as a store clerk.
Okay.
Okay. And I went on to become the depot stock clerk. At that time, clerk was like normal thing, because these were all British kind of, Shell is a Dutch company. But it was quite interesting. We had so many Asians in the company at that time.
At a senior position?
At senior position.
Okay.
Yes. Even at some junior position as well. And there were some local, people, and we worked very well together, and gradually I climbed steps. So from the stock supervisor, became the yard superintendent, became then operations superintendent, and I grew like that in the company. After some time, I was then given a big position of superintendent, to supervise the tanker discharge. Now this was the most challenging job that I had, because you have to sleep at the jetty and to watch the pumping of fuel, make sure that the fuel is going into the right pipe, because there are different pipelines. So then there is a switchover, and you have people who work for you, but you need to be there. So for 3 nights, I would sleep there at the jetty. Sometimes the captain would call me inside the ship, would offer some, soft drinks and so forth, seeing me, being there overnight. So it went on for several years. And then I was posted to Tanga as a depot manager. So I worked for 1 year in Tanga. And then after 1 year, I came back to Dar es Salaam, became the Dar es Salaam Airport Depot Manager. So that was the beginning of my, job advancement. See, and from there on, I went to become the aviation business manager in 1981, and for that I was sent out for training. I went to London, I went to Seychelles, and to Nairobi. So I got training in managing the business. Also, I was trained on quality control of aviation fuel, and also on the operation side. So that job was like marketing, operations, and technical. And I did it for 21 years. And I would say that by that time, of course, now it's not 585 anymore. The economy also changed. The currency, also Tanzania currency, started to devalue. So then the salary also increased. And I was happy, and I was being given opportunity to travel at that time because of restrictions. One wouldn't be able to travel on his own, like there was restriction of traveling outside because of the difficult period that we went through. I think from 1975 to 85 were the most difficult period, you see, economically as well as restrictions on travel. So I had the opportunity to travel to UK, to Germany, to France, attending international meetings and seminars and workshops. Our head office was in London, Moorgate, and then it moved to Hampstead. And after the apartheid in South Africa was over, so the office moved to Johannesburg. But then I had the opportunity to travel, and that was very helpful because we would get allowances, and we were looking forward to get those foreign allowances. We would save some, money, and it helped in building up our own.
It's very important because especially if you come from a humble beginnings,
Yes.
from a shop in Zanzibar
Yes.
to international flights,
Yeah.
it's a journey on its own.
Yeah, it's true, and I enjoyed working. And in 2010, I took a retirement. So I served. Initially, it was Shell. It became Shell and BP. Then BP Tanzania Limited. I was working as aviation manager for Air BP International, and during that period, a lot of development took place during my tenure as aviation business manager. I would just say it is there in the letter that I got from Tanzania Civil Aviation Authority and from the managing director of BP Tanzania. You see, there was a development of Zanzibar Airport. We started from scratch. I was then in charge. So we introduced the fueling depot in Zanzibar Airport. I did in Arusha because Arusha was closed at that time. And Kilimanjaro was the only airport, so Arusha was reopened and the Mwanza airport depot. So these, and of course the new hydrant system at the Terminal 2 now was that time from Terminal 1 we moved to Terminal 2. Of course, Terminal 3 came recently. By that time I had retired. So I was also a member of Tanzania Civil Aviation National Security Committee, and I was awarded amongst the 5 Tanzanians. I was one of them. I was honored by the government of Tanzania, and I was. These are the pictures. It happened.
Show them to the viewers.
Yeah, it was in December 2002. I was among the 5 who received this award from the government of Tanzania. So this was a brief, my journey, my professional journey. When I left, I was the aviation operations and training manager, and in 2010 I retired.
So looking at your journey, professional journey, I'm sure now that the little time that I've had to work with you, there's a lot that I can see that probably came from your professional journey. Definitely the skills that we all honor and talk about. Of course, much of it is your effort, but I can see that probably most of it also came as you were exposed to all this in your professional journey. So, Honoranka, thank you very much. I think we have exhausted quite a bit about your background, your professional journey, your family. Now it is time to get to where I think the viewers and myself we want to get to. discussing the 6 decade long history of community service. So, just to highlight for the viewers, we did mention, Honorable did mention that he started out in Zanzibar, 1965, as a volunteer, served for almost 3 years, right? And then he moved to Dar es Salaam. And Honorable Uncle, when you moved to Dar es Salaam, you have served to different levels. You have served at the Dar es Salaam Jamaat level, you have served at the National Union level, and then you, of course, joined the federation. Before we go into details, can you give us a brief outline on your difference in experience in serving in these different levels? How was it like?
You see, it's a long journey. Yes. And 60 years of community service, it won't be easy for me to explain in this short interview. However, I'll try to cover as much as I can, and I will just give you the glimpse of the areas that I've been and my experience and the challenges that we faced at that time. You see, when I came over from Zanzibar, there was Husseini Society Volunteer Corps.
Okay.
And my friend Aunali Saleh Muhammad was here with Mustafa Pir Mahmad. And, they were very young at that time, but Aunali was my senior. So I joined, but then the Jamaat decided that Ishnashi Union should now form the volunteer corps. So then we were called by the Jamaat, and I remember it was during Marhum Hussein Alhaj. We were called in Jamaat office, and the chairman of Ishnashi Union was then, I don't remember who was there. Either it was Yusuf Kabana or Razakara. So then we were told to form this Ishnashi Union. So I was one of the founder members. And our first chairman was Marhum Murtaza Pyaralevji. He passed away in the accident. And the first captain was Akbar Dala. I was then vice captain. And we had a very good team. So we started, and then Murtaza Karbala also came from Kigoma. He joined us. And we worked very hard, and we revived 2 important functions that were stopped somehow. I don't know why. One was Hussein Day, and the other one was Bagamoyo Majlis. So these were the 2 functions. So it was not an easy thing to do, but we did it, and we got a lot of support from Marhum Amir Walji and other community members helped us. So we started this Bagamoyo Majlis again. So we were renting the buses. At that time, there was no Anwabai, PRH that would give you free buses. We had to rent from a gentleman from Morogoro. He was stationed in Morogoro. So basically, we started this Majlis at Bagamoyo, and it became so popular. And this is still today going on. Hussein Day, we had started. Our first Hussein Day chairman was Aka Haider, Marhum, during Hussein Nasser Marhum Hussein Nasser time. And then every year when we hold Hussein Day, we used to call the judges, the ministers, and once we had President Mwinyi.
Who came for Hussein?
He came for Hussein Day, exactly. Okay, and President Mwinyi also attended the first Maulidi that we did in Imambara during the time of Ali Raza Rajani. He was then the president of the Jamaat. I was then the head of Ishnashi Union, Volunteer Corps. And we did Hussein Day, and President Mwinyi came to our mosque for the first time. And it was one of the best.
While he was president.
While he was the president of the country, yeah, of Tanzania. So these were some of the important events. And the other services like serving during Ashura and so forth. And I was very much involved in the Julus. I was the chairman of the Julus subcommittee, Dar es Salaam Jamaat, for almost 18 to 19 years. So these were some of the activities that we did. But I was also involved in the Jamaat. In various subcommittees, like, when it came to organization of Africa Federation, Supreme Council, conferences, we had World Federation meeting here as well, and I was, on several occasions, I was the convener. And the meeting which was held in Zanzibar for the first time, and at that time, Salmin Amur was the president of Zanzibar. And we decided to do the Supreme Council meeting in Zanzibar. And we took all the volunteers from Dar es Salaam because Zanzibar didn't have that much of organization as well. So we did it at Moani Hotel. And it turned out to be one of the best meetings that we had. And we got a lot of publicity with the government. And, at that time, the president, the chairman of Africa Federation was Alhaj Muhammad Dirani, and Habib Bhai Muji was the vice. So they all came and the meeting went on so well. And we had people like Mahmoud Hassan, Ali Muhammad Jafar, we had Bana Ali, and so forth. And at that time, we started even discussing about uniting the two Jamaats.
Put that in the
Kuwait. And the initiative was taken by Marhum Habib Muji. And it was happening, but somehow at the last moment, it fell apart. So I don't want to go into the history what happened, but there was an initiative. And later on, Africa Federation tried quite a number of times. So that was my experience with the Jamaat. And then I also was in the managing committee with Ali Raza Rajani for 4 years. I was first in charge of education. I was the chairman of Education Board of Dar es Salaam Jamaat. And the second term, I became chairman of Medical Board. And that's where my interest started with medical. So then after Ali Raza Rajani, we finished our term. I went on continuing serving the Dar es Salaam Jamaat till the time of Alhaj Anwar Baidaramsi. So during his second term and third term, I was the managing committee member then. Okay. I was elected. Yeah. So I was given the same portfolio by Anwar Bhai. And it was to do with the medical board. But there are a few things that I want to be recorded.
Sure.
During this period. And these are very important for the community to actually learn what happened during his term. You see, Anwar Bhai was a person of action, very humble. He didn't have, any pompousness. He didn't like publicity, but he was a man of action. He had a good vision for the community. So during his time, and I was in the managing committee. With me, Kumail Manji was there, Akil Hirji was there, Munawar Barwani, and others. So Anwar Bhai had a vision about this community. And housing was also a priority during his term. So what happened? He bought a plot next to Jenabai Hashim,
Okay.
which is now the Jamaat has built. They combined the two plots. It was during Anwar the Ramses. He bought that property from National Housing. The government sold it. The initial offer was to Ibrahim Haji. I was then the chairman of Ibrahim Haji. And then we saw that it should be under the name of the trustees of Africa, of Dar es Salaam Jamaat, and therefore that was changed. And today, you see those two buildings next to each other. So during that time, we did the extension of Ibrahim Haji. The new lab was built, upper level office, the pharmacy, and also that corridor that was going inside. Now I think the doctors' rooms used to be emergency cases were all taken there and so forth. So there was a quite sizable development of medical facility. We also organized you see medical camps during the month of Ramadan, and we also invited hospitals from outside Tanzania, especially from India, to come and do the camps. We do the camps in Dar es Salaam at that time. So that was when I was with Dar es Salaam
Jamaat as the managing committee member, as the medical board.
And a lot of development took place during that period, like for example the extension of Mesri Abbas, the extension of Imam Bara, the building of Musafa Khan. This happened all during the time. And even the Maweni and Mataka, the foundation stone was laid during our period. And that was during the period that we were now finishing our term, going out, and then it was left to the incoming committee or incoming energy committee to carry on with those two projects. So there was a good vision, I would say, with Nabai. He had foresight. He knew the requirement of the community, and he was one person who would drive it himself. And Allah should increase his tawfiqat and the right.
Uncle, it's great that you mentioned Anwar Uncle, and you are going towards there. So once he finished serving as the Dar es Salaam Jamaat's president, I believe he moved on to take the chairmanship of the Africa Federation in 2010.
2010, correct.
And he took you with him.
He took us actually, a few of us.
Yeah, as the General Secretary, Honorary General Secretary of the Africa Federation. And that term of Anwar Uncle is well known for the growth that Africa Federation underwent in terms of its assets, in terms of its operations, and being the General Secretary, I'm sure you must be the central part of it. Can you briefly give us an overview of that term, 2010 to 2016? How was it?
Oh, thank you. I think it was, I must say it was a great period for me as well to have worked under such a leader, a wonderful leader, humble, sincere, honest. And I enjoyed working with him as the Secretary General at that time. I would just give you a little bit of background and a glimpse of how it all started. So Anabai stood for the election. And there was a contest. Okay. Between him, Alhaj Ramzan Nanji, and Mustafa Panju of Arusha. So later on, Mustafa Panju stepped down from the contest, and it was Anwar Bhai and Ramzan Bhai contesting. Almost towards the election time, Ramzan Bhai also
Withdrew.
withdrew from the contest, and Anwar was elected. So with him, he appointed me as the secretary, honorary secretary of Africa Federation, and it was my first experience to have taken up such a high position in the community. I did the Jamaat level, but this is Africa Federation now, you see, and it is the mother of all federations. So it was not an easy task. You see, at that time, the office of Africa Federation Secretariat was based in Nairobi because the previous two chairmen, Marhum Zulfikar Kimji and then Alhaj Nanji, were the chairmen of Africa Federation. They're all based in Nairobi. In Dar es Salaam, we had a small office opposite Kabristan with just one or two staff. And Fatim Bhai Patel was then the admin secretary of, running the office. But the secretariat was based in Nairobi. So we had the task then to move the office to Dar es Salaam. And that was our plan. That was our intention. So we can't have an office in Nairobi when the chairman is here, the secretary is here, even the treasurer was here, based here, and the assistant secretary Kumel Manji, was here. So basically, we decided to move the office. And it was not an easy task because we had to start almost from the scratch. So with the 2 or 3 staff that we had in Dar es Salaam, it was Fatim Bhai, there was Mrs. Haji, and there was a girl who was doing the education, but she was not based in Dar. She was, I think, in that time. And we had to move all the files, the computers, some furniture. So Anwar Bhai decided that we will send a container to Nairobi, and we asked for a transition of about 1 month. So all the staff who were based in Nairobi were paid the dues. And at that time, the secretary was Mr. Saria, who was the paid secretary. And we requested him to come down here to do the handover of the office to Fatim Bhai and the rest. So that was the first initial period that we started. And I would say that we started from the scratch. I was then, by that time, I had retired from BP.
Yeah. You mentioned
So I had some time, and we introduced the systems, the controls, the management, and overall administration. So it was not easy, but we went slowly, step by step. We started with the secretariat, accounts, and then we started employing people. So, for example, the boards needed the admin secretaries. So we had to interview, but we first had to do the job description, advertisement, interviewing, and all those kind of administrative work. So it was a task, but Alhamdulillah, we had a good team. Myself with assistant secretary was Kumel Manji, and we had Muhammad Hemani as the treasurer. Anwar Bhai himself was very much involved, so we started. So the office that we had at opposite the Kabristan on UWT Street was a small one, and then we expanded. We took over the second office, which was used by I think, if I'm not mistaken, Bilal and then Ishnashi Union. So we covered the whole office and we renovated, we put new furniture and so forth. So as the time went, we started going and I introduced these news wires, bulletins. This was the first time that Africa Federation started issuing these bulletins. At that time, I think the archives was like,
Just
not
a collection, yeah.
a collection.
A collection of
They were
whatever.
not very active at that time.
Yeah.
And thereafter, Anobai saw that we are really getting cramped with the space. So he gave us that basement at Zara Tower. And we used it. We used it all the time during his period, during Shabir Bhai's period, and the first, I think, 1 year of 1 or 2 years of Amin Bhai. So when we moved here, we released it, and he gave us free of charge. Never charged us anything, even the furniture he provided. And, I must say, we had a great leader. Okay. There are a few things that I would like to, state about Anwar Bhai. You see, Anwar Bhai had a vision. And he was the first person to start thinking about income generating projects. And the first project that we launched was on the Pugu Road, which is Malim Julius Nyerere Road. And during his time, we bought the plots. The first phase of the project was 20 warehouses, which was built and which are now fully occupied and it's generating income. And thereafter, the second phase of that project, I will come later on when we talk about Shabir Bhai's period. But that was one. The other one was the building in Arusha. The first building of Africa Federation, fully owned by Africa Federation, is the Al-Qaim building in Arusha. It was built during his time. And it was initiated by him, and it was supervised by, first was Murtaza Barwani and myself. I was very much involved in that project, in fundraising, and we completed that project during his time. And it is now fully occupied, and it helps our community tremendously in Arusha. You see, and the second project was the Nairobi. Alhaj is the company that was formed. We provided a loan of $1 million to Saj, Nairobi Jamaat. The plot was bought. And somehow the construction of the building was delayed. But then later on the building was built and completed, and it was, given to our community members by Saj. So the loan was repaid by Nairobi Jamaat, in piecemeal, but eventually it was paid. So that was the other project that happened during Anwar Bhai's time. The other thing that I would really like to state here was a mission that was given to me and Shabir Bhai Najaf by Anwar Bhai when he first stepped into this position. You know, Madagascar came out of Africa Federation. For almost 6.5 years, they were out of Africa Federation. There were so many attempts by various people, by Africa Federation, Also, I think even at one stage, a World Federation got involved. So many people were sent there to try and bring them back. Somehow it did not happen. And I must salute Anubhav because of his stature, because of his humbleness, because of the trust that people had in him. When we went to Madagascar, it was me and Shabib Bhai Najafi. We said, you people go. There was a council regional conference happening, and we said, yeah, we are to attend. So they said, you are most welcome. And we went there. We attended the conference, but we said we had one more mission here. And I must salute two people. One was Marhum Muhammad Raza Khamis, and the other was his brother, Moses Khamis. He was the vice chairman. And the chairman was Sabir Hussain Ghulam Ali. But these two people, these two brothers, actually helped in us getting the Madagascar,
we call
it Council Regional of Madagascar, back into Africa Federation. And that was an historical event because you cannot afford to have Madagascar being a separate entity within Africa. It's a big Jamaat. It's an organization of almost 14 Jamaats. And the total number, I think the population of our community is about 4,000. You see, so I have a historical document that I just borrowed from the Secretariat. And you'll see that this was the memorandum that we signed before we came back. And after we came back, we actually announced. And that was, I think, a great mission accomplished by Africa Federation. It is in Gujarati. It's in English from Africa Federation. And it was also issued by Council Regional themselves. And till today, we are enjoying a very good relationship with Madagascar. And the chairman of Council Regional, now they call it AXIAM, is the vice chairman of Africa Federation. So he is a member of Office Bearer of Africa Federation. So I would say that was one of the achievements. The other one, as I said, was the startup of the office in Dar es Salaam and the
various projects, the warehouse, the buildings.
Yeah, the building in Arusha, Nairobi, purchase of the plot at Levington. You see, these are some of the achievements that I would like it to be recorded, which happened during Anubhav's time.
Thank you. So that is 2010 to 2016, and then came in Shabir Bhai Najafi, the AFED chairman, and you also moved up the ladder, from Honorary General Secretary to Vice Chairman of the African Federation.
You see, Shabir Bhai Najafi is a dynamic leader. A huge experience in the community. He has been the chairman of Kampala Jamaat. He has helped Kampala Jamaat to repossess the properties. He worked very closely with the Jamaat as well as Dr. Askar Moledina. And he was the World Federation Councillor for many years, still is. He was also attending most of the Africa Federation Supreme Council. So when I was in Africa Federation, even before I came in as secretary, I was the CHB chairman, so I was always invited and I also attended on behalf of Africa Federation. I was presenting the reports as well. So I met Shabib a long time before that. And I knew him. So when Anwar term got over, naturally Shabib was then the vice chairman, became the chairman. I became the vice chairman. So I stood for the election and I won. And I did 2 terms with him. So Shabib came with the vision of continuity. You see, the good part is he was the vice with Anwar time, and then he became the chairman, and I became the vice chairman. So there was continuity of activities, and there was no a change in the policy or in the plan that we had drawn. So again, Shabib is very keen on housing projects, but he's also a very enterprising person, entrepreneur. So then the second phase on Pugu Road was during his period. And this is the Africa Federation, the AFED Business Park. Yeah. Wonderful building. If you see, whoever passes by from airport or going to the airport, you will see that building shining, you see. And it was achieved by his efforts as a chairman of the housing board. He stood and completed that project. So during Shabib time also we had a few housing projects. One was the Al-Askari project, housing. The second was the Amira. The third one was the Madagascar, Al-Zahra project, housing project. Of course, during his time also the Nairobi project was completed. And after the Amira, I think that was the housing project after Madagascar, Nairobi, and we had the Arusha project, which somehow stalled for some time, and it was recently completed. But his vision, his ability,
came up with a very unique scheme, I think, for our community, rent to own, which is turned out to be a game changer, I think, for most of the community members.
You see, rent to own, you are right, is one of the things that was introduced, and it really helped a lot of people, and it will continue to help. It's something that especially for our community, you don't need to go to the bank to take a loan. When you take a loan, mind you have to pay interest. So the person pays interest as well. But in this scheme, rent to own, you see, you are paying as if you are paying a rent, but that is credited to your account. Ultimately, the apartment or the flat becomes yours once you complete your payment. So like you are paying the rent, you lose it. So if you are having national housing apartment, you pay rent, that's it, you pay the rent. But here, assuming you are paying the rent, but you are not actually paying the rent, you are paying against
ownership of your house.
Ownership. And it happens after 7, 8 years, and you save a lot of money in terms of interest during that period. But that is a great scheme that Shabib came up with, and I salute him for that. It's not an easy task, but we need to find funds. You see, to start off the project, you need funds. And we are talking huge monies. You see, a project like Medina, which is going on at the moment, this will come when we talk about Nasser. But, it costs about $16 to $17 million. It's not that small. So then, I mean, Shabir Bhai's term, I mean, we had a good relationship with almost all the Jamaats, visiting the Jamaats like we used to do with Anwar Bhai. And I think one thing that I have forgotten to mention during Anwar Bhai's time, in 2013, UAXIR, Reunion, became member of Africa Federation. And it was that our initiative. Of course, Amin Bhai was then the chairman of UAXIR. He, after Madagascar came back to Africa Federation, he was next in line, and they became members of Africa Federation as well. So there's other like Malawi, Rwanda. They also became member of Africa Federation, and there are a few more we'll mention when we come to it.
Sure. So again, Shabir Bhai served 2 terms, and you served as a vice chairman for 2 terms with Shabir Bhai from 2016 to 2019, then 2019 to 2022. And then, as you said, came in Amin Bhai
Yeah.
in 2022. And you are still the vice chairman, but I'm sure you must have witnessed some differences that you have been part of the system. Yes, Amin Bhai was, as you mentioned, chairman of the UAXI, and he was by virtue vice chairman of the Africa Federation as well. But if you can just explain a little bit more what happened after 2022.
You see, the big difference was we stopped talking in English and we started Gujarati. That was one thing, but that was on a lighter note. Amin Bhai is a barrister by profession, a learned person, a visionary, a very humble, kind-hearted person. Like we all had our previous chairman. Amin Bhai again continued on the same wavelength as Anwar Bhai, Shabir Bhai, Amin Bhai. So we could see, the continuity of the leadership. Though every leader has got different style of leadership, you can't compare. But I enjoyed working with him. You see, unfortunately, I could not continue for his second term. I will give my reasons later on. But I would say that the income generating projects continues during his time. The housing project continues during his time. The support to our Jamaats, especially to Arusha. You see, the Arusha Al-Mahdi project got stalled. For almost 10 years, that project did not progress. Thanks to Shabir Bhai, also Anwar Bhai, his contribution, the leadership of Shabir Bhai and Amin Bhai, this project was completed. And all these 3 chairmen, the past 3 chairmen, of course, Anwar Bhai then went and became president of the World Federation. But they had very good relationship with the donors. And that is actually the crux of everything. You maintain good relationship with the donors, you build confidence with the donors, and that is where the support also comes in. Besides, the other income that we get, like from homes and from our investments. So I would say Amin Bhai, he has continued on the same footsteps. He, of course, has got a different style of leadership, but he's a visionary leader. He likes to keep up, like the previous chairman, with the boards that we have. And the boards are the arms of the federation. You see, they are the people on the ground who functions, you know. The secretariat is actually, I would say, the body that gives power or gives the energy to the boards to operate. I think if there is anything else that you want.
Of course, there is a lot, but I think we have done justice in the sense that it's not easy summing up from a journey from 2010 to 2025, a 15 years journey in just a few minutes, but I think you've done your best. Just one question, two more questions regarding Africa Federation.
Right.
Put you on the spot. In all these years at the Federation, what was your most favorite moment? What was the most dearest achievement or moment in this 15 years time?
Okay. I would say there are few, but I would mention some of them. For example, the establishment of the Secretariat office in Dar es Salaam. I would say that was one of the greatest achievements that we had. Secondly, I mentioned about bringing back the Madagascar.
Back to the Federation.
Back to the Federation. Third was to bring, we actually welcomed UAXIA. So you see that the Africa Federation has become much, much bigger. I would not use the word stronger, but I would say that they've been very effective in bringing together the community in Africa. And I would say that is one of my personal opinion, is one of the best federations among the regional federations. Others might not like this statement, but it's a fact.
So I was coming to there because you said you spent your childhood in Zanzibar, and around that time, Marhum Ibrahim Sharif Dewji was the then chairman of the Africa Federation. And then, of course, your time in Dar es Salaam, you must have witnessed the federation as a grassroots member. And then you served in the Jamaat, and then you became a very integral part of the federation itself. How have you seen the federation grow as somebody who is out looking from the outside and then also serving in the inside, and now having to start again to look from the outside? How does it look like?
Look, looking at the federation, all the past chairmen, they did their part. They played their roles. Different times. We had challenges. For example, we had issues of Somalia, exodus. We had the riots in Madagascar. We had the expulsion of Ugandans. Then recently we had this Yemen issue, which happened during our term, Anubai's term. Yeah, and I was fully involved, and we worked with the World Federation very closely. And I must salute Sajjad Bhai, Rashid of Mombasa, very courageous person. He made 3 to 4 missions to Mogadishu and to Yemen to evacuate our community members. You see, I really salute him. He and his family. You know, you can only find this in our community. You can't find this in other communities. So these are the experiences. But I would say that coming from Marhum Ibrahim Bhai, going through various Mullah Askar, Abdul Sulaka, Habib Mulji, Muhammad Dirani, Marhum Zulfikar, and Ramzan, they all played their roles in different ways. But I would say the achievements that we have had, starting from Anwar Bhai's time today, you know, our net asset value has increased from where it was. to where it is now. You'll be amazed if I give you the figure, but I think I will not do that because perhaps it's not wise to do it. But, it has gone almost fourfold increased. So you could see the growth, you could see the developments that happened from 2010 till today. And these are the achievements that we must all be proud of. And it is because of the leadership.
Definitely.
And of course, the support of the community. So those are something that I really like to remember. And I must say, we had challenges. It has not been an easy ride. But the challenges are always overcome because of the support of the community and the people like yourself.
Thank you, Aunali uncle. I think we've tried our best to highlight your service in the community. And in the beginning, we credited some of these achievements to your early childhood, your family background, your education, your professional journey. But I'm thinking that, of course, it's the obvious that all this is not possible without the support of your family, without the support of your wife, Ifat Auntie. If you can just briefly highlight their role during your time here and your service here, how important was their contribution?
Yeah. In fact, I must say, all that what has been possible during the time that I've been with the Jamaat and with Africa Federation is because of my family. The support that I got from my wife, Ifat, she sacrificed a lot. Even during her sickness, I was still attending the conferences. When she was in Ahmedabad, I'd undergone surgery. There was a meeting in Dubai. I was told by the chairman, you need to come because we have an important agenda to discuss. So I flew from Ahmedabad to Dubai. My son flew from USA. Sorry, Khalil came first. Khalil flew from Canada, Toronto to Ahmedabad to be with my wife. And then I could travel to Dubai. So these are the sacrifices that our family has taken. My three children, Hasnain, who is in USA, Khalil in Toronto, Canada, Mohsin is in Orlando, USA. They all studied in the USA. And they are married, they've got children, they're well settled. However, their support has been tremendous. And I said towards the end, I will tell you why I could not continue.
Yes.
Let me mention it now before I forget. And that is because they said that you have done enough. I said I can still continue, but the family needs me, especially my wife. So I'm trying to balance. I did mention to Amin Bhai that I'm available whenever I'm needed, you see. However, I wouldn't be able to take active role like what I've done, you see. And therefore I stepped aside during this recent election. So the family, much as they have suffered, but they have supported, and they are very grateful that I've been able to give something back to the community. And they have given something because they sacrificed their time. I could not be with them most of the time, traveling on Afid's business, meetings and so forth, spending late nights in the offices. But I enjoy doing it. Yeah. Yes.
And I think the work is there to be seen, Aunali uncle. As we wind up the interview now, One of the highlights that has already been mentioned and it has come up most of the times is your relation with young individuals who are also ready to serve. So one of the biggest examples I think we have is Ali Hassan Kasam, Brother Ali Hassan Kasam, who is now the General Secretary of the Federation. I'm sure he has a lot to also say about you. But individuals like him, you've got the time, the opportunity to nurture them, to guide them, and we want to now make it open to the viewers and the young people who are watching us. If you can just give us a few pieces of advice for the youth, future leaders who want to serve the community, what are the things that you would like to share with us?
Okay, no, thank you. I think it's a good point that you have raised. My aim and objective was always to encourage the youth. You know, the first time that we came in, Humail Manji, he has become also the Secretary General of the World Federation. Now I think he's also involved in Toronto with the march and so forth. So that's one example of, you know, the encouragement that I always gave to the young and the youth. We mentioned about Ali Hassan Kasam, Osman Sherali, Ali Khalfan, Farhan Yusuf, Ali Raza Sumar, yourself, good example, you're here. You see, so many of them. And they still remember. They still remember. But I always encourage them, you know, always we make mistakes. But we learn from the mistakes. So we use those mistakes as a learning points and not to criticize. And I always welcome them. And, you know, whenever they come up with ideas, we don't discourage them. Say, let's work on those ideas. Let's see how it works. I know sometimes it's not always what we wanted, but we give them that encouragement and they themselves come back and say, let's do this way now. You see, so not to discourage them, always invite them, involve them, give them some tasks. I'll mention about the Solidarity Day. The Solidarity Day was dead. We revived it. I was the one who thought this was an excellent event that we have to do to bring the community together and celebrate the birth of our 12th Imam. So we started it, and Alhamdulillah, it continues till today. And who did that? You see, I was just leading, but it's the youth.
The youth used to run that.
They were running it. Ali Hassan Kasam, Farhan Yusuf, yourself, Ali Raza Sumar, and others. You see, I can't remember all the names, but
to add two more names, because you mentioned all of Sajjad Karamsi,
and
Fazil Ali Shan.
And Fazil Ali Shan, you know, they are still there serving. So basically, there are quite a number of youths that have come through during my tenure, and Alhamdulillah, they're doing so well. You see, I would also like to mention about a little bit about archives.
Sure.
You see, archives is something which is very close to my heart. Actually, with you coming, we revived archives. And we went from strength to strength. We have published so many news wires, bulletins, information. And I can tell you one thing. The book that has been written by Dr. Sipten Panjwani, most of the information are from our archives. The Khojapedia, you go through it, you find a lot of information. I would say almost more than 50 to 60% of the information is from our archives. Because Africa Federation has got the richest history. This book that you see in front of us,
yes,
this is produced by the archive section of Africa Federation. And thanks to Dr. Hasnain Walji, he did a great job of actually authoring this book. But the initiatives is from the archives, and thanks to you. So I think this will remain in the history of our organization for many, many years to come. And I will encourage, especially our youth, to actually read this book. I know there is a diminishing interest in reading in our community, but I will encourage, let them read this. It's very important. And obviously, I hope that we'll be having second edition in the future. But it took so many years.
Almost 8 years. So,
8 years.
By the way, I think the credit goes to Aunali uncle as well, because he saw this as a vision when you met Marhum Hassan Jafar and had a conversation with him alongside Dr. Hasnain Walji back in 2017.
Yes.
Almost 8 years of work.
Yes.
And Alhamdulillah, it has come to reality now.
Yeah.
And I join hands with Aunali uncle and encourage all the youth. Let's try our best to get this copy and read and learn from whatever is there. There's a lot that is there on the book that we can't really disclose. Hopefully you get your copy, inshallah. Honored uncle, I think we can wind up now. If there is anything that you would like to add? Otherwise, I really appreciate your time. You have accepted our invitation. Played a huge role in our series. You've given a lot of information for us to learn from. I'm sure we'll all look back, and the youth especially will be interested. Small details you've mentioned, all the way from Kushali, Abangkuro, right to the early days in Dar es Salaam, how your professional journey went, community service under each term. We tried to break down as much as we could, and finally winding up with your advice to the youth. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to mention one or two things that are important. You see, as I said, after the Hussein Day, the Jamaat has started this Mafunzo ya Imam Hussein. It is an excellent idea. It's a wonderful idea. It's practical. And it also promotes our religion. People come to know about Imam Hussein through the various services that is provided at this Nazimonia. And I must salute our President, Alhaj Muhammad Raza Belji, that he thought about this wonderful idea. And Africa Federation has always supported it, supported National Jamaat in this event, you know. And yes, it is much practical. But Hussein Day also, I would like to see that sometimes it is revived in a different format, you know. But that we can discuss outside this. The last thing that I wanted to talk about, or you know, advise our youth, is to be very careful with the social media. You see, I know social media has become so common with the new advanced technology. People like to actually forward messages, whether they are good, bad, ugly, you know, damaging. I would advise our youths and our community members, please, 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 do not forward these messages. If there is anything important which is worth to forward, then you do it. Otherwise, please don't do it, because it's causing a lot of hardship, stress to families, to individuals, to members, and it doesn't aid anything. You know, we are exposing our community to the outside communities. It's not a good practice. So please, I would advise them to stop and to be very cautious about social media and about forwarding these messages. So this is my advice that I wanted to give.
Thank you, Aunali. Thank you very much. We wind up our episode, special edition episode with Alhaj Aunali Khalfan of the Wadilo na Vishesh Vichaar. We hope to see you in the next episode, inshallah.
So on behalf of the Chairman of Africa Federation, Alhaj Aminbai, I would like to present a small token of appreciation to you. This institution is honored and blessed to have had your services over the years. And on a personal note as well, I think I've learned a lot from you, your wisdom, your guidance, and your experience. And we hope that you can continue supporting this institution. We are indeed very, very lucky to have had you with us, and we look forward to also having you. This interview is only going to share a glimpse of how much you've served this institution. But in reality, there's a lot more of time, effort, and pain that you have taken in serving this community and this institution. On behalf of the Office Bearers of Africa Federation, once again, thank you very much. And this is just a small memento of memories that have been collected of you during your time here as well, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ali. I really appreciate and grateful to Africa Federation and to the archives section of Africa Federation. This will remind me of my, being with you people all these years. And thank you for those kind words that you spoke. Really appreciate, and I will cherish this moment in my life. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.